إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونؤمن به ونتوكل عليه ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله أما بعد. Brothers and sisters in Islam, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome back to this another of our sittings. The topic we are about to cover is the sleepers in the cave. There's a surah in the Qur'an called Surah the Cave, which is Surah 18, and the sunnah is for you to recite this when you go to the masjid, sitting down in the masjid waiting for the imam to take the mimbar. You read this surah on a Friday, and this surah, it saves you from the fitna of the Dajjal. If you constantly read the surah, especially on Fridays, it will save you from the fitna of the Dajjal. And as for Surah Mulk, it saves you from the fitna of the punishment of the grave. Surah Waqiyah saves you from the fitna of poverty. Qul Huwallahu Ahad saves you from the fitna of shirk, and Qul Ya Ayyuhal Kafirun saves you from the fitna of hypocrisy. Qul A'udhu bi Rabbil Falaq, Qul A'udhu bi Rabbin Nas saves you from the fitna of the black magic and the evil eye. And Ayatul Kursi saves you from the fitna of theft. So if you recite that over your property, they won't steal your property at night. Now, this story about the cave is not the only story that is in this surah. We have the story about the people of the cave. We have the story of Dhu Qarnayn. We have the story about Al-Khidr. So don't think this is the only story in this surah. We have Dhu Qarnayn, we have Al-Khidr, the green one, who had more knowledge than Musa, and it has about the sleepers in the cave. So what do you understand from this story? What do you know about the story? Why Allah revealed the story in the Qur'an? The Jews of Medina, they told the pagan Arabs who were living in Mecca, and this surah was revealed in Mecca. Don't think it was revealed in Medina. It was revealed in Mecca. The pagan Arabs, somebody texted me what in das. The Jews of Medina told the pagan Arabs, ask Muhammad these questions. If he can answer these questions, then he is a real prophet and not a fake prophet. Ask him about the ruh, the soul. Ask him about the sleepers in the cave. And most people claim there are 7 sleepers in the cave. Allah alone knows how many sleepers. But most books that are written about the sleepers in the cave, they will tell you to your face, there were 7 sleepers in the cave. They even called their book the 7 sleepers of the cave. They were very vocal with the number of boys who were sleeping in the cave. Ask Muhammad about Dhu Qarnayn. Ask Muhammad about the sleepers in the cave. Ask Muhammad about the Ruh. If he can tell you the story about the sleepers in the cave, then he is a real prophet, not a fake prophet. So this is the reason why Allah Ta'ala revealed the surah. Not only did Allah reveal the story to the Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, an entire surah is named after the sleepers in the cave, and that surah is Surah al-Kahf. The Jews, they said, he Muhammad is illiterate and he doesn't know anything about these previous people, like Yusuf alayhi salam and his 11 brothers. The Prophet ﷺ didn't read previous books because he was unlettered. So for him to relate the story of Yusuf and his brothers, which Allah said is Ahsan al-Qasas, the best of stories, it proves that he was a real prophet, not a fake prophet. And for him to relate to the pagan Arabs of Mecca, the story about the sleepers of the cave in details, this is clear evidence that he was a real prophet, not a fake prophet. Because the pagan Arabs had no knowledge of these previous nations. So what is their story? Because Allah Ta'ala spoke about their story in Surah the Cave. Now bring me Surah 18 verse 9. Bring me Surah 18 verse 9. Let us start from there. Allah Ta'ala said, bring me, yes, verily, bring me verse 8. We start with verse 8. And verily we shall make all that is on the earth a bare dry soil without any vegetation. Why would Allah Ta'ala make the earth bare, dry without any vegetation, no trees? The Prophet Muhammad told us in a hadith found in Ibn Majah. Why would Allah do that to people? Make the earth dry with no vegetation and no trees. The hadith says when you stop paying the zakah, Allah will withhold the rain. So people who don't pay zakah, they suffer poverty and they have no proper rainfall. I was in an African country and they didn't have proper rainfall. When I was traveling through the country from masjid to masjid, preaching in various masjids, somebody come asking me for money. So I said, I am a wayfarer traveling to your land. It is not the sunnah to approach a wayfarer, a visitor traveling through your land. For money, you should go to the Islamic Sharia Council and ask them for zakah. He told me in this country, people don't pay zakah. I said, what about the rich people in your country? He said, they don't pay zakah. That's what he told me. And they had a problem with rainfall. So the Rasul said, when you don't pay your zakah, Allah withhold the rain from you. So this is the reason why Allah Ta'ala do that to people. Ayah 9. Do you think that the people of the cave and the inscription, the news of the names of the people of the cave were a wonder among our signs? So Allah Ta'ala is hereby asking a question. The people of the cave, it's a wonderful story. And it is a sign from Allah Ta'ala. Now, because it is a sign from Allah Ta'ala and the inscription, what Allah meant from the inscription means the names of the people who were inside the cave. Their names were written on the walls of the cave. Graffiti. The graffiti was on the walls of the cave. Ayah 9. This story is so important. Two countries dispute about the cave. They want to say the cave was in our country. The people of Turkey. Ayah 9. Where's Ayah 9? The people of Turkey, they said the cave was in our country. The people of Jordan, they said the cave was in our country. Who's supposed to post the ayah? Where's Author 33? But when we do proper research, we have no choice but to believe that the cave was in Turkey, in a place called Ephesus. Ephesus. This is the city where the cave was in. The region of the world where the cave was is in Ephesus, in Turkey. And it was a part of the Roman Empire. Turkey was the seat of the Roman Empire. It is called the Byzantium Empire. So this story took place during the reign of the Byzantium Empire, an empire that lasted for 1,000 years. And this empire was smashed. By whom? When was it smashed? This Roman Empire was smashed in 1453 by a 19-year-old boy called Muhammad Al Faisal. A 19-year-old boy smashed the Byzantium Empire. Muhammad Al Faisal. And he changed the name from Constantinople to Istanbul. When he conquered the Byzantium Empire, what did the people say to him? You have now become Caesar. You are the Caesar. You are the Caesar of Rome because you conquered the Roman Empire. So at 19 years old, he became the Caesar of Rome. We continue our dars. So Allah Ta'ala is saying to you, do you think that the story about the sleepers in the cave and the inscription, the names of those who were sleeping in the cave, don't you think that this is a wonderful and marvelous sign from Allah Ta'ala? This story is a wonderful sign because it teaches you the importance of having the right aqidah. Sincerity to your religion. That's the first. The lessons from the story. Sincerity to your religion. Number two, it teaches you the importance of hijrah. Number three, sincerity to your religion. Number two, the importance of hijrah. Number three, it teaches you tawakkul. Where's the notes? Number two, the importance of hijrah. And number three, it teaches you tawakkul. Number four, al-wala wal-bara. Number five, it teaches you that religious hatred is the worst hatred. The worst hatred is not racial hatred. The worst hatred is religious hatred. Number six, it teaches you that miracles exist. Miracles are not a fantasy. Miracles are a reality. Because these boys were sleeping in the cave for 390 years. Number seven, it teaches you the Taghut is very oppressive. The Taghut is very, very oppressive. So, because you have all these lessons from the story, Allah Ta'ala asks you the question in ayah 9, do you think that the people of the cave and the inscription, their names that were written on the walls of the cave, because they were the ones who were the inhabitants of the caves, don't you think that this story is a wonderful sign from Allah Ta'ala? It's a question Allah Ta'ala is asking you. This story is so important. It is spoken about in Jewish scriptures, in Christian scriptures, and in Muslim holy book, the Qur'an, because it's a very, very important story. This place is Ephesus in Turkey, and this incident took place 250 years CE. CE means the Christian era. 250 CE in the city of Ephesus. The Jews of Medina told the pagan Arabs to ask the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam the story about the sleepers of the cave to see if he's a real prophet or a fake prophet. Ask him about Dhul Qarnayn and ask him about the Ruh. And the pagan Arabs used to pass by Medina on their way to Syria. And when they went to Medina, the Jews of Medina said, when you go back to Mecca, ask Muhammad these questions to see if he is a real prophet or a fake prophet. In 250 CE, they ruled a Roman king who was very evil, and his name was Decius. In the year 250 CE, there ruled a Roman king whose name was Decius. He would annually hold a festival dedicated to the worshipping of idols. Annually, he would hold a festival dedicated to the worship of idols. Some followers of Isa and Maryam, went to this city and preached the doctrine to these boys, and they believed. And they rejected this festival, and they made bara from their people. They were not poor, they were from middle class families and upper middle class families, these boys. The king heard about them. The king said, I heard that you have left our religion and you criticize our religion. You are young boys, so I assume you are going through a phase. I'm giving you some time to recant. If you don't recant, I'm going to kill you. The king went on a journey, and while the king was away, the boys grabbed the opportunity to make their escape. So one of them said, I know of a cave in the mountain. Let us escape there with our faith. Because if we stay among these people, they're going to stone us to death. They're going to kill us. Because we have abandoned their paganism for monotheism. They're going to kill us. There's no doubt about that. So they decided to make their escape to the cave in the mountain, and a dog was following them. They started to throw stones at the dog to chase the dog away. But the dog stood on its hind legs and said, I am a believer too. Why are you chasing me away? So the dog spoke to them, and it was shocking for them to hear a dog speaking, so they allowed the dog to follow them on their journey. They went into the cave and they stayed. The dog was at the mouth of the cave, and the dog kept watch. The lesson you learn from this is that you can have a watchdog. It's not haram to have a dog who is a watchdog. They slept in the cave for 309 years. Allah Ta'ala described the scenario for us in the Qur'an in Surah the Cave. Now let us go back to the Qur'an. They slept in the cave for 309 years. Now bring me ayah 10. Remember when the young men fled for refuge from their disbelieving folk to the cave, they said, Our Lord, bestow on us mercy from yourself and facilitate for us our affair in the right way. The person to post the Quran is having internet issues. Okay, never mind. Ayah 11. Therefore we covered up their sense of hearing, causing them to go sleep in the cave for a number of years. Now the number of years that they slept in the cave was 309 years. Then we raised them up from their sleep, that we might test which of the two parties was best at calculating the time period that they had tarried. Some people calculate it as 300 years and some calculate it as 309 years. The correct calculation is 309 years according to the lunar calendar. We narrate to you, O Muhammad, their story with truth. Truly, they were young men who believed in their Lord, and we increased them in guidance. Increase them in guidance means Allah Ta'ala increase them in taqwa, increase them in iman. They abandoned paganism because some disciples of Jesus entered the city and invited them to Tawheed. Iman entered their hearts, and they refused to participate in the pagan festival of the king. The king come to heard about their rebellion against his religion. He said to them, "You are young men, so I think you are going through a phase. I'm giving you this amount of time to recant and come back to our religion. If you don't recant, I have no choice except to kill you." The king left the city on a journey. They grabbed the opportunity to run away with their faith. So they went to the cave, but when they were about to leave, a dog kept following them. They threw stones at the dog. Why? Because dogs are noisy. My neighbors have dogs, and they are very, very noisy. They give away your position. These people were in Turkey. They were in the city of Ephesus. The dog stood on its back legs, its hind legs, and spoke to them and said, "I am a believer too. Why are you chasing me away? I want to come too." When they heard the dog speaking to them, which is not normal, it is a miracle, they allowed the dog to come. What is the name of the dog? My question to you, what is the name of the dog? The dog name is Kitmir. The scholars of Islam, they gave us the name of the dog. His name was Kitmir. While they were sleeping in the cave, the dog kept watch. So the dog didn't go to sleep. That's another miracle. How can a dog keep watch for 309 years without going to sleep? Well, it's a miracle. That is easy for Allah Ta'ala to do. We continue with our story. We narrate to you, O Muhammad, their story with truth. Truly, they were young men who believe in their Lord, and we increase them in guidance. Surah 18, verse 13. This ayah means it is possible for you to grow in Iman. Iman increases. Iman increase and Iman decrease. Ayah 13 means it is possible for your Iman to increase. Iman increase and Iman decrease. And your Iman increase when you are in good company. Your Iman decrease when you are in bad company. And we made their hearts firm and strong with the light of faith in Allah, and bestow upon them patience to hear the separation of their kith and kin and dwellings. So they had to give up their families. That's what Allah is saying. Their kith and kin. They have to give up their dwellings, which was very, very comfortable because they were from rich families. They were not from poor families. So when the kuffar claim it's only poor people who follow religion, that is a lie. That is a big lie. Only poor people follow religion? Really? Saudi Arabia has a lot of rich people. I didn't see people eating from the garbage pan when I was there. And Qatar is the richest country in the world, and it's a Muslim country. Are you trying to say that the people in Qatar who believe in Allah, how do you explain that? They believe in Allah, and they are the richest people in the world. So what do you mean, you the kuffar? What do you mean when you say only poor people believe in religion? That's not the case. The richest country in the world is Qatar. The last time I did a research, it's a Muslim country where everybody believes in Allah. So your argument that only poor people believe in Allah, that is a big lie. And you the infidels, you are compulsive liars. And we made their hearts firm and strong with the light of faith in Allah, and bestow upon them patience to hear the separation of their kith and kin and dwellings. When they stood up and said, Our Lord is the Lord of the heavens and the earth, never shall we call upon any God other than Allah. If we did, we should indeed have uttered an enormity in disbelief. They said that to their people. Ayah 14. They said that to their people. They were vocal in rejecting their paganism, their idol worship. And they spoke exactly like the man in Yasin. Do you remember the man in Surah Yasin? He was a leper. And the same people, the messengers from the followers of Isa, of Jesus, went to the same country, Turkey. The story about Surah Yasin took place in Turkey, in Antakya. And they killed him. They stoned him to death, and then they burnt him for no other reason except that he invited them to La ilaha illallah. And the name of this man is called Habib al-Najjar, Habib the carpenter. The three messengers, they cured him of his leprosy, and they didn't charge him any fee. Where this took place? In Turkey. And they killed him. So these boys, they were fully aware about the mentality of their people, the pagans of Rome. Turkey was the seat of the Roman Empire before the Muslims conquered it and make it a Muslim country. It was the capital of the Byzantium Empire, Turkey. That city, which is called Istanbul, it used to be called Constantinople. They know the mentality of the people, that if you reject their paganism, they're going to kill you. So they had no choice but to run away with their religion and abandon the comfort of their dwellings, a luxurious dwelling, to go and live in a cave in the mountain. This is called tawakkul. Ayah 15. These our people have taken for worship gods other than Him, Allah. Why do they not bring for them a clear authority? And who does more wrong than he who invents a lie against Allah? So they are saying that these people who are worshipping idols, they are claiming that the idols will draw them near to Allah. People who are pagans, they say, we pray to these idols and use these idols as an intermediary to reach Allah. Every pagan used that argument. What these boys are saying, who run away to live in the cave, what they are saying is, they have no evidence, no authority for what they are preaching, what they are saying, and who can be eviler than the man who invents a lie against Allah? Every person with a wrong aqidah is guilty of inventing a lie against Allah. If the person is a Shia, he invents a lie against Allah, because he claims the Qur'an is corrupted. So what he said, Allah broke His promise to protect the Qur'an. And he is saying Aisha had an affair. So what he said, Allah lied to protect Aisha, she did have an affair. When Allah said she didn't have an affair, Allah lied to protect Aisha. The Shiites believe Allah lie and make mistakes. That is their belief. Allah tells lies and Allah makes mistakes. If the person is a Barelwi, a grave worshipper, he's a liar, because he said, when I pray to the Prophet Muhammad, the Prophet Muhammad will transmit my supplication to Allah, my dua to Allah. Muhammad is alive in the grave, he did not die. And because he did not die, he hears all my supplications, my du'as, and he transmits them to Allah. If the person is a madkhali, he's a liar against Allah as well. Because he said, when you dismantle the Sharia of Allah, Allah considers it as a minor kufr. To dismantle Allah's Sharia is a minor kufr, not a major kufr. If the person is a Qadiani and Ahmadiyya, he lies against Allah, because he's saying Allah sent a prophet after Muhammad. And that prophet is called Mirza Ghulam Ahmad. Every kafir lies on Allah. If the person is a Christian, he lies against Allah, because he says Allah beget a son, and that son is Jesus. Or he will tell you God came from the womb of a woman. That woman is the Virgin Mary, Holy Mary, Mother of God. If the person is a Jew, he invents a lie against Allah, because what do they say? Allah's hands are tied. Allah is poor, but they are rich. Surah 3, 181. He, Allah, is poor, but they, the Jews, are rich. Every kafir lies on Allah. Tell me the kafir, and I'll tell you how he lies on Allah. So these sleepers of the cave accuse their people of lying on Allah. Because they are praying to idols and they are claiming with their paganism that their idols transmit their supplication to Allah. The young men, ayah 16, the young men said to one another, and when you withdraw from them and that which they worship except Allah, then seek refuge in the cave. When you withdraw from these people, these pagans, seek refuge in the cave. I know of a cave in the mountain. Let's go and live there. Your Lord will open a way for you from His majesty. This means they put their tawakkul in Allah. Do you see the ayah? Your Lord will open a way for you from His majesty. Ayah 16. Your Lord will open a way for you from His mercy. Allah will open a way for you from His mercy. So this means they put their tawakkul in Allah, their trust, and will make easy for you your affairs. He will give you what you need for your provision, your sustenance, while you are in the cave. And you might have seen the sun when it rose, ayah 17. And you might have seen the sun when it rose, declining to the right from their cave, and when it set, turning away from them to the left while they lay in the midst of the cave. The scholar said the reason why Allah did not direct the sun to their cave, Allah was hiding their cave. We need the sun because we need vitamin D. If we need vitamin D to survive, people who live in cold countries without proper vitamin D, they are weak physically. Why do you think Jamaica produced the fastest runners? Because of the sun we have here. We don't have snow here. It's sunny every day. Why people in cold countries have erectile dysfunction? Because it's cold. They don't have enough sun. Erectile dysfunction. They have bone problems. Their bones are weak. We don't have erectile dysfunction in this country because of the sun that we have here. So if you need the sun, why did Allah turn the sun away from these sleepers in the cave? Because we need the sun for healthy living. The scholars of Islam explained why. Allah turned the sun away from their cave because Allah did not want to give away their location. That is the answer given by the scholars. Allah didn't want to reveal their location to the pagans who are desperate to kill them because they refuse to recant and return to paganism. But when Iman comes into your heart, you don't recant. And people who leave Islam, they were never Muslims. They were plastic Muslims. I've seen Barelwis and Shiites online saying, I am an ex-Muslim. You are an ex-Muslim. You were never a Muslim. You're a Shia. You are called Kafir Asli. You, the Barelwi, you call yourself an ex-Muslim. You were never a Muslim. How can you be an ex-Muslim? You were never inside the fold of Islam because you didn't reject the Tawhut. You can't be a Muslim until you reject the Tawhut. So how can you, the Barelwi and the Shia, claim, oh, I used to be a Muslim? You are never Muslims. You have always been kuffar outside the fold of Islam. These boys, Iman entered their hearts. For them to go back to kufr and shirk, it's impossible. They were from rich families. They rather run away from their dwellings, the comfort of their dwellings, run away from their mothers, their fathers, their brothers, their sisters, their cousins, their tribes. Allah said their kith and kin. They rather sacrifice that than to go back to kufr and shirk. And they had such tawakkul. What did they say? Your Lord will open a way for you from His mercy while you are in the cave, and Allah will provide for you sustenance for you to live while you are in the cave. So even though they were giving up the certain was comfort and the happiness of being in their family. They were going into the cave. They were not sure what was going to happen, but they put their tawakkul in Allah. Hasbunallah wa ni'mal wakeel. Surah 3, 173. Surah 3, 173. They put their tawakkul in Allah Ta'ala. So ayah 17, and you might have seen the sun when it rose declining to the right from their cave, away from the cave, because Allah didn't want to reveal their location. And when it set turning away from them to the left, while they lay in the midst of the cave, that is one of the ayahs, the proofs, the evidences, the signs of Allah. He whom Allah guides, he is the rightly guided. But he whom he sends astray, for him you will find no wali to lead him to the right path. So Allah is telling you in this ayah, whomsoever Allah guides, he is rightly guided. And whomsoever Allah sends astray, no one can guide that person. Allah Ta'ala sends you astray after you were shown the haqq and you rejected the haqq. Allah will never send you astray until He gives you ample opportunity to hear the haqq. Take for example, Nimrod. Allah sends him astray. Didn't he get the opportunity to hear the haqq? Of course. Who gave him the haqq? A prophet. Which prophet? Prophet Abraham. Now look at the Pharaoh. Allah sends him astray. Did Allah give him ample opportunity to hear the haqq? Of course. Who taught him the haqq? A prophet. Which prophet? Prophet Moses. Now look at Abu Lahab and Abu Jahl. Allah said, Tabbat yada abi lahabin wa tab. Allah sends them astray. Did they get the opportunity to hear the haqq? Of course. From the lips of a prophet. Which prophet? Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam. So what you have to understand is that Allah Ta'ala is just. Allah is not unjust. Therefore, Allah Ta'ala will never send a person astray until He gives the person ample opportunity to hear the haqq. So when you read Surah 61 verse 5, Allah said, فَلَمَّا زَاغُوا أَزَاغَ اللَّهُ قُلُوبَهُمْ. فَلَمَّا زَاغُوا أَزَاغَ اللَّهُ قُلُوبَهُمْ. When they turned away from the haqq, Allah turned their hearts away. Surah 61 verse 5. Bring me that part. So don't bring me all the ayah, bring me what I'm quoting. So when they turned away from the path of Allah, Allah turned their hearts away from His path. This is called justice. Allah will never turn you away from the haqq until you make the decision to reject the haqq. Why? Because Allah is al-adl, the just. So when you read the Qur'an and Allah said, whomsoever Allah guides, he is rightly guided, but whom Allah sends astray, for him you'll find no wali, no guiding friend to lead him to the right path. Always remember that Allah Ta'ala would never send a person astray until he makes the decision to reject the haqq. Because Allah said, فَلَمَّا زَاغُوا أَزَاغَ اللَّهُ قُلُوبَهُمْ. When they turned away from the path, then Allah turned them away. Ayah 18. And you would have thought that these boys in the cave, they were awake. Ayah 18. You thought they were awake because their eyes were open, whereas they were asleep. And we turned them on their right and on their left. The scholars of Islam said, the previous people who came before Muhammad, like the Jews and the Christians, they have their version of the story. But our version is better because their version didn't say that the sun turned away from the cave, and their version didn't say that we turned them on the right and turned them on the left. Why Allah turned them keep turning them around? So that they don't have bed sores. Don't you know that if a person is old and confined to his bed, he has bed sores? Don't you know that? Why Allah said, I turned these these sleepers in the cave. I turned them on their right, I turned them on their left side. Allah was protecting them from bed sores. If you are bedridden and you don't turn around in your bed, you're going to have bed sores. So this is what the scholars of Islam say, why Allah keep turning them around and around and around on the right side, on the left side. And their dog stretching forth his 2 forelegs at the entrance of the cave. Now, these people were white people who run away. They're from the Roman Empire. They're white people from the Roman Empire. And they had their dogs guarding the mouth of the cave. It is their culture, long before Islam, that they like dogs. These people of Europe, long before Islam, they like dogs. And even after Islam, some of them continue to like dogs. Can you keep a dog? Yes, you can keep a dog as a guard dog. It's halal. I'll bring you the fatwa of Imam Nawawi when I close off this speech to prove to you you can keep a guard dog. What is haram is a pet dog, a dog which is a waste of space. A guard dog is not a waste of space. The guard dog, it bites the thief. The guard dog protects your property. It bites the thief. So that dog is halal. The dog which is haram is the pet dog which is a waste of space. We continue. And Allah Ta'ala said, the dog stretching forth his 2 forelegs at the entrance of the cave, or in the space near to the entrance of the cave, as a guard at the gate. So this is the evidence, as a guard at the gate. Had you looked at them, you would certainly have turned back from them in flight, and would certainly have been filled with awe of them. Ayah 19. Likewise, we awakened them from their long, deep sleep of 309 years, that they might question one another. A speaker from among them said, how long have we stayed here? How long have we been sleeping here? They said, we have stayed perhaps a day or part of a day. Subhanallah. What did they say? Maybe we have been sleeping in the cave a day or part of a day. Is that what you think? Well, Allah told us how long you were there for. That's what you think. Allah told us how long you were there for. Allah said you were there for 309 years. Not a day or part of a day. 309 years. They said, we have stayed perhaps a day or part of a day. They said, your Lord alone knows best how long you have stayed there. So send one of you with this silver coin of yours to the town, and let him find out which is the good lawful food, and bring some of that to you, and let him be careful, and let no man know of him. So when they gave this silver coin to the friend, said, go and buy food, because they woke up hungry. They reminded him, buy only halal food. So, long before Islam of Muhammad, the Islam of Jesus, the Islam of Moses, they pay attention to halal food, and they make a difference between halal food and haram food. Do you get that? Do you pick out that lesson from this story? Take this silver coin and go to the town to buy food. But make sure you buy halal food. Why? Because when you eat haram food, your dua is rejected. Your dua is not accepted. If you want your dua to be accepted, always eat halal food. Don't eat haram food. And while you are in the city, don't let anyone come to know about you, that you are a muwahhid. A muwahhid means a person who is upon tawheed. Don't let them know you are a muwahhid and you reject paganism. Because if they know that you are a muwahhid, they are going to kill you. For if they, ayah 20, listen to ayah 20, bring me ayah 20. For if they come to know of you, they will stone you to death, or abuse and harm you, or turn you back to their religion, and in that case you will never be successful. So this boy went to the city with his silver coin to buy food because they woke up hungry after sleeping for 309 years. And he went to a shopkeeper to buy food. And when he presented the coin, the shopkeeper was surprised because it had been printed, that coin was printed in the era of the wicked king that I told you about. And that coin is no longer in circulation. That coin that you presented to me is no longer in circulation. That king has died, and we now have a new king. That king was a pagan king, Decius. 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 That king, Decius, he has died and he is forgotten. We now have a new king who is a muwahhid. The new king is not a pagan like that king Decius. And that coin that you presented to me to buy food, I don't know where you get that coin from, because that coin has been out of circulation for over 200 years. So how can you present me? I'm sorry, that coin has been out of circulation for over 300 years. Not 200 years, 300 years. That coin has been out of circulation for over 300 years. So how can you present me with that coin to buy food? You are completely out of touch. You are out of touch. So the boy explained to them, and the new king, who was a believer, was shocked about their story. The new king is called Tandusis. Yeah, the new king is called Tandusis. This new king was in power when the boys woke up from their sleep of 309 years in the cave. Now, this new king was a muwahhid. He doesn't kill the believers like the old king. The fiqh al-waqi of the city was completely changed. So, what they are saying is, nothing of the city you can despise. You despise the city, yes, and run away to the cave and slept for 309 years. But the city has changed. There is nothing about our city that you can despise. That wicked king who used to kill people for their tawheed, he has died. And we have a new king, Tandusis, who is a muwahhid, who is now upon tawheed. We continue our dars. So the fiqh al-waqi of the city has completely changed. When the boy went into the city, places that used to be marketplace was demolished and it has become a place of dwelling. Certain streets that used to exist no longer exist. Certain buildings that used to exist no longer exist, because earthquakes destroy certain buildings and they rebuild the buildings but in a different location. The fiqh al-waqi of the city was completely changed. And to convince him even more that the fiqh al-waqi has changed is that when he presented his silver coin to buy food, the coin was outdated. It was no longer valid. A new king, the head of a new king was on the coin, not the old king. So the fiqh al-waqi of the city was completely changed. When Tandusis, the new king, come to hear about the boy, he told the boy to take him to the cave where they were sleeping, and he took the king to the cave. They said, we are going to build a monument, a mausoleum, a temple over their burial ground. When we bury these boys, when they die, we are going to build a temple over them. And we continue our dars. And thus we made their case known to the people. Ayah 21. Ayah 21. And thus we made their case known to the people, that they might know that the promise of Allah is true, it is the haqq, and that there can be no doubt about the hour, the day of judgment, because your miracle is a sign of Allah's might, Allah's power, His majesty. Remember when they, the people of the city, disputed among themselves about their case. They said, construct a building over them. Their Lord knows best about them. Then those who won their point said, most probably, the disbelievers, we verily shall build a place of worship over them. Now, the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam didn't allow you to build a monument, a temple over dead prophets and dead saints who are called waliullah. The hadith says, may the curse of Allah curse the Jews and the Christians. Because whenever a prophet of theirs would pass away, they would build a temple over their bodies. So when they said, let us build a temple over their dead body, it could not have come from a true believer. It would have to be the disbelievers from among them. Meaning, what happened to Christianity is that some pagans of Rome entered into Christianity and pretended to be Christians, and they brought their paganism with them. And they brought their Council of Nicaea with them. They brought their worshipping of Jesus with them. They did not give up paganism. So these bishops and priests who had a pagan heritage, they came over into Christianity and they destroyed Christianity with their paganism. It's like some people who used to be Christians and they become Muslims and they become sheikhs. They want to change Islam. I heard Hamza Yusuf on a video on YouTube saying Muhammad is alive in the grave, therefore you can pray to Muhammad in the grave and ask him for what you want. Hamza Yusuf, a revert from Christianity. So he wants to bring Christianity over into Islam with him. And people who are not pious will listen to this doctrine from Hamza Yusuf, which is paganism, and copy him and follow him, especially if the person is a Barelwi. That's what the Barelwis want to hear. They want to hear Hamza Yusuf say, pray to Muhammad. There is a video like that on YouTube. So people will always come over into a religion, whether it is Christianity or Islam, and try to change it and turn it into paganism. So you have to be vigilant. You have to be on the alert of these people. So these sleepers in the cave, someone suggested, let's build a monument over them, a temple over them. But the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, may the curse of Allah be on the Jews and the Christians, because they build places of worship over the graves of their prophets. And this is not allowed in Islam. And if such a place exists, you have to demolish the place, the temple, and build it somewhere else. You can't build it over the grave of a pious person. It has to be demolished. You have to dynamite it and break it down with dynamite and build it, reconstruct it somewhere else. Ayah 22. Some say there were 3, the dog, which is Qitmir, being the 4th among them, and others say there were 5, the dog being the 6th, guessing at the unseen. Yet others say there were 7, and their dog, Qitmir, was the 8th. So they are guessing, because this knowledge Allah kept it back to Himself. Why did Allah didn't reveal their exact number? To prove to you that only Allah knows everything. So when people say the boys in the cave were 7, they are guessing, Allah said. Allah used the word guessing. It is just guessing. Only Allah Ta'ala knows the exact number of how many boys were in the cave. My Lord knows best their number. None knows them but a few. So debate not about their number except with the clear proof which we have revealed to you. And consult not any of them people of the book, the Jews and the Christians, about the affairs of the people of the cave. Don't consult the people of the book about the story of the people of the cave. Do you think it's only this story you are not allowed to consult them about? Don't consult them about the story of Yusuf and his 11 brothers. Don't consult them. Because when you consult them, you give validity to Christianity or Judaism. You are a Muslim. How can you consult them for knowledge about religion? So Allah said, don't consult the people of the book about the story of the people of the cave, because they are going to brag and boast. Look, a Muslim is coming to me for me to teach him about religion. That is very, very embarrassing. If you want to know something, go and ask a Shaykh. Don't ask a priest, a pedophile priest. What do you want to know? What do you want to know from him? Don't go and ask a rabbi. What can they tell you? It's very, very embarrassing. Also, for you to go to a kafir shrink, that's also embarrassing. You're a Muslim and you have mental depression and you need to go to a kafir shrink. That is very, very embarrassing. Or you're a Muslim and you have to go to Alcohol Anonymous because you have an alcohol addiction. That is very, very embarrassing. So Allah said, don't consult these people, the Jews and the Christians, about the affairs of the people of the cave, because it is very, very embarrassing. You are a Muslim and you are supposed to have more knowledge than them. And when you consult them to ask them these things, you massage their ego. That's what you did. All you did for them was to massage their ego, because they will say, look, a Muslim is coming to me to learn about religion. Now, there are many lessons to be learned from the people of the cave. The last chapter is lessons from the people of the cave, in bold writing. Lessons from the sleepers of the cave. The first lesson is pagans have no mercy for Muslims, because the boys said if they come to know of you, they are going to stone you to death, they are going to kill you. The evidence, Surah 5 verse 82, Allah said, you'll find that those who hate Muslims the most will be Jews and those who worship idols, like Buddhists and Hindus. Buddhists and Hindus, and anyone who worships idols, they hate Muslims the most. The second lesson, paganism was rife in the era before Muhammad. Paganism was rife in the nations before Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And the Qur'an is full of stories about paganism. Surah Yasin is about paganism. They killed a man because he invited them to Tawheed. Surah Buruj, do you know that surah? Surah 85 is about paganism. A king dug a ditch and dumped the believers inside and burned them to death. He even burned the babies of the believers. For what? For Tawheed. So the Quran is full of stories about paganism. The Pharaoh of Egypt, he crucified his wife because he wanted her to worship him, not Allah. And the Pharaoh said, Ana Rabbukum al-Ala, I am your Lord the Most High. Nimrod dumped Prophet Abraham in the fire. Why? Because he was a pagan. So the Quran is full of stories about paganism. The people of Noah, they got killed by the flood. They were pagans. The homosexuals of Sodom and Gomorrah, they were pagans. So the Quran is full of stories about paganism because paganism was rife in the nations that exist before Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The story about the people of the cave is about paganism. They had to run away to live in a cave to escape the persecution of the pagans. They were going to kill them if they find them because they refused to recant and return to paganism. The third lesson you learn, the followers of Isa continued to preach Tawheed after he ascended to heaven. As a third lesson, the followers of Isa, Isa means Jesus, the followers of Isa, which is Jesus, continued to preach Tawheed after he ascended to heaven. Now, the story of Yasin, which we may cover in this room, inshallah. The man who was a leper and he embraced Tawheed. Who invited him to Tawheed? The disciples of Jesus. These boys who ran away from the city to go and live in a cave, and they spent 309 years in the cave. Who invited them to Tawheed? The disciples of Jesus. They invited the boys to Tawheed. So the followers of Isa continued to preach Tawheed long after he ascended to heaven. The fourth lesson, when a country forces you to apostate, it's time for hijrah. That's the fourth lesson. Whenever a country forces you to apostate, it is now time for you to make hijrah. Because the king said to the boys, if you don't return to paganism, I'm going to kill you. And the boys, they realize it's time for hijrah because they can't return to paganism. And Allah spoke about this in Surah 4, verse 97. الَّذِينَ تَوَفَّى الْمَلَائِكَ ظَالِمِي أَنفُسِهِمْ قَالُوا فِيمَ كُنْتُمْ قَالُوا كُنَّا مُسْتَضْعَفِينَ فِي الْأَرْضِ قَالَ أَلَمْ تَكُنْ أَرْضُ اللَّهِ وَاسِعَةً فَتُهَاجِرُوا فِيهَا. Those whom the angels snatched their souls, they will say to them, why is your situation so pathetic? They will say to the angels, we were weak and oppressed in the land. We were mustad'afin. The angels will say to them, wasn't Allah's earth spacious enough for you to make hijrah? Such men will find their abode in hell. What an evil destination. Okay, bring me ayah 98, because Allah said, except those men and women who couldn't find a way to leave the country. Maybe you are on a no-fly list and they seize your passport. So, for the sake of justice, I have to quote ayah 98, because not everyone can travel. So Allah said, except those people who can't travel. They have no strategy. They can't come up with a plan to escape from Darul Harb. Because the kuffar put you on a no-fly list and they take away your passport. If you live in Darul Harb, like the UK, the USA, France, and didn't leave because they took away your passport, I will not hold it against you on the day of judgment. I will let you off because they put you on a no-fly list and seize your passport, and you couldn't find a way to come up with a dodgy passport. Because if you make a dodgy passport to leave the country, they're going to scan the passport, and if it doesn't show up in their computer, they'll realize it's a dodgy passport and they're going to put you in prison. It's 3 years imprisonment for traveling on a dodgy passport. So Allah says, some of you who are stuck in Darul Harb, you can't find a way, a plan to leave unless you escape on a boat. Musa Sarantonio of Australia tried to escape on a boat according to them. And they dump him in prison and throw away the key. So there are many Muslim men and women who cannot leave, men, women, and children, because they are stuck in Darul Harb. The Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, I am free from any Muslim who lives among the mushrikeen. I am innocent. The Rasul said, I wash my hands of every Muslim who lives among the mushrikeen. The boys, they escape to live in a cave because they know the implication of living among the mushrikeen. Where's the hadith? I am innocent of any Muslim who live among the mushrikeen. Number 5. Please don't take long to find the hadith. I need to finish my notes. Number 5. Wisdom is to say and do the right things at the right time, at the right place. The boys chose a perfect time to escape. When the king left the city. They used wisdom. Wisdom is to say and do the right things at the right time, at the right place, and in the right manner. Allah says, يُؤْتِ الْحِكْمَةَ مَنْ يَشَاءُ وَمَنْ يُؤْتِ الْحِكْمَةَ فَقَدْ أُوتِيَ خَيْرًا كَثِيرًا. Baqarah 2:68. Allah gives hikmah to whom He please. Baqarah 2:69, I beg your pardon. يُؤْتِ الْحِكْمَةَ مَنْ يَشَاءُ. Allah gives hikmah to whom He please. And whomsoever Allah gives hikmah to, wisdom, indeed that person was given goodness in abundance. So the boys chose the right time to escape from the city when the king was not around. Number 6, we need to have tawakkul in Allah. The boys said, we are going to escape to the cave and Allah will provide for us. That's the 6th lesson you learn from this story. They were escaping the comfort of their luxurious homes to go and live in a cave. A cave is not a comfortable place. And they said, Allah will provide for us while we are in the cave. Allah Ta'ala, yes, so they had tawakkul. The Prophet said, if you put your trust in Allah, properly trusting in Allah, Allah will provide for you the way He provided for the birds. They leave their nest with an empty stomach and they return with a full stomach. لو أنكم تتوكلون على الله حق توكله لرزقكم كما يرزق الطير تغدو خماصا وتروح بطانا. This is the hadith. If you put your trust in Allah, properly trusting in Allah, He will provide for you the way He provided for the birds. They leave their nest with empty stomach and they come back with a full belly. So even the birds have tawakkul. Can you believe it? Even birds have tawakkul and birds believe in Allah. Because when the bird went to Yemen and saw their people worshipping the sun instead of Allah, the bird came back to Prophet Sulaiman and complained, I was in Yemen and I saw Bilqis, she and her people worshipping the sun instead of Allah, and the shaitan led them astray. And the bird said, the shaitan has made their evil deeds fair seeming to them. The shaitan has made their kufr and their shirk fair seeming to them. So even birds believe in Allah and even birds have tawakkul. So why can't you have tawakkul? The 7th lesson you learn is, when you make hijrah, Allah provides for you. That is a 7th lesson. When you make hijrah, Allah makes it a duty on Himself to provide for you. Surah Nisa, verse 100. Surah Nisa, verse 100. Allah said, when you make hijrah for His sake, He will provide for you. So you should always bear that in mind before you make your hijrah. Allah Ta'ala will provide for you. Who's bringing the ayah? Surah Nisa 100. Please don't take long to bring the ayah. I need to finish my notes. He who immigrates from his home, listen to the ayah. He who immigrates from his home in the cause of Allah will find on earth many dwelling places and plenty to live by. The boys who went to live in the cave, they knew that. They knew that. That's why they didn't hesitate to run away from the comfort of their homes to go and live in a cave. The 8th lesson you learn, a guard dog is permissible in Islam. It's the pet dog which is haram. Lesson number 8 from this story. A guard dog is permissible to keep. It is the pet dog which is haram in Islam. Now bring me the fatwa of Imam An-Nawawi, because even Imam Nawawi endorsed this, what I'm saying, that guard dogs are permissible. It's the pet dog which is haram to keep, because the pet dog is a waste of space. What can the pet dog do for you? A pet dog cannot bite a thief. The guard dog will bite the thief, not the pet dog. Listen to the fatwa of Imam An-Nawawi. An-Nawawi said in Sharh Muslim, is it permissible to keep a dog to guard the house? Allows and the like. There are 2 points of view. The first is that it is not permissible because of the apparent meaning of the hadith, which clearly state that keeping dogs is forbidden, except for farming, hunting, and herding. The more correct view, listen to the fatwa, the more correct view is that it is permissible by analogy, qiyas, with those three cases, knowing that the reason that is understood from the hadith is necessity. So Imam Nawawi used qiyas to make it permissible. In other words, if the dog is of benefit, then you can keep it. Sometimes people use dogs to lead the blind. Sometimes people use dogs to smell the drugs. If you're going to take the Greyhound bus, you are in America and you're taking the Greyhound bus. They use dogs to smell your bag to see if you are smuggling drugs. So that dog is also permissible to keep. That dog is a police. And the dog walks around with a police badge. And it has police on the badge. So if you have an Islamic State and people want to smuggle drugs into the Islamic State, and you use dogs to smell their suitcases for drugs, that is also permissible because it is necessity. The dogs which is haram to keep is a dog which is useless, a dog which is a waste of space, a complete waste of space. That is the dog which is haram. We continue our dars. Number 9, the 9th lesson you learn from the story, the fiqh al-waqi of a society doesn't remain the same. The land changes. The fiqh al-waqi. The 9th lesson you learn, the fiqh al-waqi of a society doesn't remain the same. It keeps changing. Because when the boys left the cave, their currency was out of circulation. Their coin was outdated. It was obsolete. And buildings that they used to know disappeared. Streets that they used to know disappeared. Markets that they used to go to relocated to another section of the city. The fiqh al-waqi changes. And according to Sharia law, the fiqh changes when the current events on the ground changes. The hukum changes when the fiqh al-waqi changes. That is Sharia law. Because of that, when Imam Shafi was in Baghdad, he passed a fatwa, but when he went to Egypt, he passed a different fatwa. Why? Because the fiqh al-waqi of the two societies were opposite. When I was in university, Imam Shafi, we studied a book of Imam Shafi called That book was difficult to study. That book was written by Imam Shafi, a fiqh book. Because in that book you have two opinions. The old opinion and the new opinion. Why he changed his opinion? Because when the fiqh al-waqi of a society changes, the fiqh also changes. Fiqh al-waqi means the current events on the ground. And it is haram for a person to pass a fatwa until he knows the fiqh al-waqi of the society and he knows the fiqh of the book. He needs to know the fiqh of the book and the fiqh of the waqi. Waqi means the reality on the ground. If you don't know these two fiqh, it is haram for you to pass a fatwa. The other lesson you learn is religious hatred is the worst hatred. Number 10, the worst hatred is religious hatred. The other lesson you learn is people can tell when you are from a different land because you are out of touch. People can tell when you are from a different country, different land, because you are out of touch. When the boy went with his coin, the shopkeeper told him he's out of touch. Your coin is 300 years old. That coin came out of circulation because as soon as you went into the cave, the king died. Immediately after you went into the cave, the king died. So the coin came out of circulation. The coin you presented to me to buy food is 300 O's. Your coin is obsolete. So people can tell when you are out of touch. People are not stupid. From your body language, your behavior, they can tell when you are out of touch. Even the way you dress, they can tell you are out of touch. The 12th and last lesson you learn is people use questions to test you, to test your knowledge, to see if you are an imposter. And people use questions to test you, to test your knowledge, to see if you are an imposter. For example, If you say, I speak Arabic, an Arab will say to you, Masmuka, min aina anta, kayfa haluka, hal anta Muslim, hal indaka zawja, hal anta mutazawj. If you can answer all these questions, you're an impostor and a liar. Why the Jews told the pagan Arabs, ask Muhammad about the sleepers of the cave. If he can tell you the story, that means he's a real prophet. And the Rasul was able to tell the pagan Arabs about the sleepers of the cave. And because of that, everyone in Mecca embraced Islam. The whole of Mecca embraced Islam. Didn't the Rasul conquer Mecca? And over a period of 23 years, 23 short years, his mission was successful. And all his enemies embraced Islam. Abu Sufyan, Hind, Ikrimah, all his enemies embraced Islam. Amr ibn al-As, because they realized that he was a real prophet. People will always ask you questions. If you claim to have knowledge, people will ask you questions to test you, to see if you are an imposter, to see if you're a liar. You may apply for a job and you lie on your CV and they give you the job. Do you think because they give you the job, everything is hunky-dory? They are checking up on you to see if you're a liar. When Khalid Yassin went to Australia, he claimed to be a graduate of a university, and the Australians grant him a stay in the country, visa to stay. While he was living in Australia, they rang up the college, the university, to say, did Khalid Yassin graduate from your university? And they said, no, he was never a student. If I come to you and said, I am a graduate of Muhammad ibn Saud, it is easy for you to ring Muhammad ibn Saud and say, a man from Jamaica claims to be a graduate of your university. Is he a liar? Is he an imposter? Did he study in your university? Did he finish? Was he a university dropout? The world is a small village. Because of technology, the world is a village. If I lie to you about graduating from university, one phone call can expose me as a liar. I didn't finish. I dropped out after 1 year. I failed and dropped out. You can't lie. The world is a small village because of modern day technology. That is the reality. Because of modern day technology, you cannot lie. Why the Jews said, ask Muhammad about Dhu Qarnayn, the king with the two horns. Dhu Qarnayn. Ask him about the sleepers of the cave. Because they said he is an Arab who is unlettered. He didn't read the books of the previous religions. If he can answer this question, then he is a real prophet. He was able to answer the question. The Arabs of Mecca became convinced he was a real prophet, and because of that, his mission was successful over a short period of 23 years. Brothers and sisters in Islam, this is our topic, the sleepers in the cave. I will now pause and take 3 questions. I don't see any hands up. I think there are no questions. Inshallah ta'ala, our next session will be on Wednesday. I might do another surah. I think I might do another surah from the same, another story from the same surah, the cave. Inshallah ta'ala, I'd like to thank all the admins who made this dars a possibility. Authentic Tawhid 19, 12, and 20. Authentic Tawhid 1. Authentic Tawhid 3. Subhanaka Allahumma wa bihamdik ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilaik. I will now relinquish the mic.